Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, a warm welcome to Muslima Insight. Today in Muslima Insight, we are looking at the topic of marriage as a mutual agreement, in the very least, as well as then pertaining to the rights and the responsibilities within marriage. And with us in studio to share with us their wisdom and knowledge on this topic, I've got Sister Nuza Katuri Patel, a social activist from Morocco originally. Assalamu alaikum and welcome, Sister.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you for being here today. And then also we've got Sheikh Imam Abdul Hakim from the Waterkloof Ridge Islamic Center. Assalamu alaikum and welcome, Imam.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you also for being here today. In kicking off this program today, Sister Patel, can you perhaps expound for us, especially for our non-Muslim viewers that are perhaps not aware, that before the advent of Islam, did women have rights to, for example, inheritance or to enjoy the relationship of marriage as much as a man, to have similar rights? Were women at all respected?
To understand the actual situation of women, you must go back to before Islam. Mm-hmm. How was the condition of the woman before? They was buried alive and they got no rights at all. No right for property, no right for anything. They was even inherited from the father to the son, mm-hmm. and vice versa. You understand? Mm-hmm. Then the Islam, if we can see, Islam is the freedom, come with freedom. He liberated that woman that was nothing. She was is any object by the home, mm-hmm. by the house.
Like she's a possession.
Possession, exactly. Mm-hmm. Like table, chair, anything that man can have, and everything belonged to him, even mm-hmm. the woman.
Mm-hmm. So she basically was treated like an object.
Exactly.
With no real rights. Or
no real right, no real feeling. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we control her feeling. She must not feel anything, even in the intimate relationship with the man. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She was really in the back of the man. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she was also object of shame in pre-Islamic period. Mm-hmm. The shame. That's why anyone got a girl, baby girl, mm-hmm. he had to bury her before that people knows that he got baby girl.
That is quite astounding if you think of how life has changed. And obviously with the advent of Islam, the status of women were raised, their rights were made clear. Imam, when we come to this topic of our rights, I mean, rights is something that is what we are entitled to. It's in this specific context we are talking about is obviously marriage, and it is something that we are entitled to both spouses, as given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam, why would you say is it important that we don't only know our own rights, but we also know the rights of our spouses?
It's very important to know the right of your partner or your spouse so that you can fulfill those rights. And Islam is so unique that it always teaches the rights of others. Mm-hmm. Does not teach you, it teaches you your rights, but also at the same time it teaches you the rights of others so that you can fulfill those rights.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it boils down to that responsibility and the duty that we have towards our spouses, and obviously it leads to a harmonious relationship, because if you know the right and you know what your duties, it leads to a peaceful marriage. Can we perhaps for the segment concentrate a little bit on some of the rights of the woman in a marriage? For example, the dowry, Sister?
Yes, the dowry was the first right that, firstly, it's to give her the life, to allow her to live. Mm-hmm. Then we can't bury it anymore, women or baby girl in Islam. Mm-hmm. Then when it comes to marriage, the dowry. Before Islam, women couldn't have any property, any patrimony for her, mm-hmm. proper to her. Mm-hmm. Then the dowry was the first thing that they can belong to her. and she can really say it's mine, and I can do what I want with it. That is the significance of the dowry. And dowry also come to give more importance to the woman when it comes to marriage, to marry her. That is really the significance of the dowry.
The dowry itself.
And in addition to that, mahari is also to show the man that in future he is going to take care and he is going to be a breadwinner and responsible to fulfill the needs and to take care of the wife.
Imam, on that note, talking about that, what are some of the, we're obviously talking about the rights of the woman and the husband has to fulfill that. When we talk about provisions and support, what are some of the duties specifically that a man has to fulfill for the rights of the woman?
Okay. There are 3 or 4 duties which it is compulsory for a man to fulfill, towards his spouse, towards the wife. Number 1 is he has to give her shelter. And number 2, to feed her and to clothe her.
And sister, if we expound on this a little bit further, the brother has mentioned that these are basic duties as a given in the Holy Quran. He has to fulfill that. But again, taking this a little bit further, if we talk about proper treatment, kind treatment, obviously, if you touch a woman's heart, you touch her heart with kindness. What are your views on this?
Islam, firstly, is about treatment. You say it very well. Islam is about treatment, how we treat each other. How we treat Allah first. How we treat Allah, how we treat our neighbors, how we treat our children, how we treat our spouses, how we treat our wife, how we treat our husbands also. It's in the 2 senses. It's not only one direction. It's 2 directions between man and woman. That is the treatment. What we really look for in relationship, in the marriage, it's the harmony, happiness. How that happen if we treat each other nicely, with goodness, with kindness, with respect. Islam is about respect. If we respect, we don't have to think about our rights. Think first about our responsibility. You understand? Absolutely. If we know our responsibility, sure, we will enjoy our rights.
Yeah, so the 2 goes hand in hand, Imam.
Okay, in addition to treatment, one hadith come to my mind where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that khayrukum li ahli, that the best amongst you is the one who has good treatment to his wife. And then wa ana khayrukum li ahli, I'm the best person to treat his wife well.
So it makes it very clear how important good and kind treatment is. And then if we come to, for example, there's a verse in the Quran, and it leads to a lot of controversy among especially non-Muslims, where it says about the beating of the wife. I think it is in Surah An-Nisa, verse 34. Can you perhaps just highlight what that actually means?
Yes. Actually, that verse comes in 3 steps. Doesn't come directly to
just beating.
The translation is not maybe right. Beat. First, you must talk to your wife. If you don't like some behavior from her, you must talk nicely and talk in a way that she can understand what you want from her to do.
Sure.
Talk to her, not talk only one time, every time. That is why communication is very important in any situation, any relationship. Communication is very, very important.
Sure.
Then if she can't understand what are you talking about, then you go to the step 2, another level. That means you leave her alone. You don't go to bed with her. And we as women, we know how it's very, very difficult and how it's hurting if the man lift you and don't come in your bed. I think with that, woman, she will not want to be to go to the level 3. 3. I think so. But if it has to go to the level 3, beaten, it's not hurting. It's not really. Yes, it's strike. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said very well that you must not beat your wife and not hurting her and not strike her on the face. And it must be maybe just like this. If you take your hanky and just do it like this, it's synonymous of beating, of not be happy with what your wife is doing.
Jazakallah, sister. It is time for us to go to a short break. Don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A warm welcome back to Muslima Insight. Imam, before the break, Sister Patel was explaining to us the verse, Surah An-Nisa, verse 34, where it speaks about the beating of a wife. Can you just elaborate for us on that particular point?
With regarding to beating of the wife, it is not right the Muslim wife that she must be beaten. Okay. And in the Quran it comes nushuz wallati takhafuna nushuzahunna fa'idhuhunna, that if you anticipate rebellion, I mean the man anticipate rebellion to his wife, then the first thing what you should do, fa'idhuhunna, that you should speak to her and advise her kindly, and then if she does not listen, then فَهْجُرُوهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ, then you can separate her on the bed, which is also better pearl to swallow for her. And then the final what you can do is to strike her, وَضْرِبُوهُنَّ, to strike her slightly, gently, but do not harm her. In Arabic, dharb means, it has many meaning. Okay, it has many meaning. One, it can mean to strike her, or to beat her, or to hit her. Okay, but this means to beat her slightly and with no injury. And the Mufassirin, the jurist, has explained that this has to be in sequence, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elaborated in the Holy Quran, that you have to follow the sequence. But unfortunately today we escape these two step, and then we go in beating, and which is not right.
Almost like physical, it goes straight to physical abuse, and then let alone a couple of hours later, he takes the woman back in her bed. I mean, and that again is that whole psychological trauma that the wife then has to deal with. And coming to the right of, when it comes to a second wife or a third wife, if we think of polygamy, does a woman have a say in that, in a mutual agreement? But if we think of the Bibi Fatima radiallahu anha, Imam, can you explain to our viewers about that?
Okay. Before marriage, you can come to a certain agreement between man and the wife. And then if you have agreed that, you know what, while I'm still under your umbrella, under your marriage, you won't get married to other wife, then it's also allowed.
So that is allowed, and it gives a woman, especially if we consider in the South African landscape where the conditioning, the social upbringing is more towards being one wife with a husband, if we think in the general concept of South Africa. Sister, from your side?
I will add to what Shaykh said, that yes, polygamy is allowed in Islam, but under some condition, strict condition. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا فَوَاحِدًا. If you fear that you will not be feared, take one. And in another verse, there's وَلَنْ تَعْدِلُوا وَلَوْ حَرَصْتُمْ. And you'll never be just, even if you want it, and you'll be really want it firmly. Then that show that one is the correct way to marry.
And it is the recommendation.
That is the recommendation, exactly. Yeah, and you must be just we can be just in material things, but what about feeling?
Can you be 100%?
Can you be 100% with one and with two and with three and with four?
And there's of course severe punishment in the Akhirah if a person cannot be 100% just. Exactly. So it makes sense that why one is the true recommendation. Exactly. And if we move on a little bit further, Imam, if we come to the rights of the man within a marriage, can you expound for us, for example, on the rights of being the head of the household, for example?
Okay. As I said it earlier, that for the husband or
for the husband.
For the husband. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الرجال قوامون على النساء. So Allah has given extra responsibility, for the man to give shelter, to take care, to look after his wife, to feed her, to clothe her, and to protect her, and to protect her religion, and to make sure that she's under the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And it makes sense also if you think, in any business setting or in any type of relationship, if there are two parties and they both want to be the leader, if they both want to be head of the household, exactly, it's going to lead to conflict. Because, if we take, for example, in a relationship, sister, would you say that mutual understanding on this point is important? Because although the man has the final say, should there be some consultation with the wife on certain matters?
Yes, I will add to what Sheikh said, that to be head of the house is another right for a woman. He take another responsibility. That means it's add another right to women's rights. Then Islam is based of consulting, but consultation must end in decision.
Yes.
Consulting and decision in any group, just take any company. There is CEO, there is executive member, there is. Why we can't understand this in Islam, that man can make a decision, but with consultation. And I come to this in Sulh al-Hudaybiyah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to go out for any war, any matter with one of his wives. He was that time with one of his wives. Then it was a matter of consultation, because Muslim wasn't happy that they couldn't go in Mecca, because Quraysh doesn't allow them to go in. And with Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, there was Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, and Sayyiduna Ali was very, very upset about this. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went to his wife to consult with her. He told her, what must I do now? And she did tell him what he had to do, and he did it. Not like this man that he say consult her, but don't do what she said. Consulting is very, very important in any relationship, and in marriage it's the main the main road that you must follow in any matter.
Yeah, and it makes sense. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to the man to then make an informed decision, because it's almost the wife is the second half of sharing her ideas, her thoughts. And I mean, if the Prophet ﷺ leaned on his wives for advice, what do they think? And he consulted with them. It makes absolute sense that our men should be doing the same. Sheikh Abdul Hakim, if we come to the topic of obedience of the wife to the husband, can you expound for us on that?
Okay. That is one of the rights of the wives, that she should obey and be obedient to his husband, but in only the matter which does not transgress the limit and break the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Of course. Sister, from your side?
Yes, obedience is very important, you understand? But obedience doesn't mean he must be dictator and tell her, do that, don't do that, do that, don't do that. No.
It's like almost she mustn't be just in automatic,
yes,
do this
exactly.
now, do that now. She's still a person. She must be regarded with respect at the same time.
Exactly.
Brother, if we come to the topic of physical relations for a man, what does the Quran teach us on that?
Physical relation, the Quran teaches that when you have a conjugal relation, then the hadith teach us that you should not go and expose your wife or your husband outside.
And
I would like to what Sheikh said in Quran. There is a verse that says, a beautiful verse that I like it. هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنْ. What that means? You are their dress and they are your dress. What that dress do for us? It protect us, it beautify us. That is what woman must be for the man, and the man must be for the woman.
Exactly. It's that being that garment, the garment to each other.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, it is time for us to once again go to a short break. Don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A warm welcome back to Muslima Insight. Imam, before the break, we were talking about physical relations, the importance that it has for a man. And what we learn in couples coaching as well is, when a man is satisfied in that part, you win his heart. And a woman almost works the other way around. That's why the treatment of a woman is so very important. Imam, if we talk about the household duties of a woman, is it a right that he has, or is it certain favors that a woman actually goes beyond her duties to please her husband?
Okay. As I highlighted before, that the woman's responsibility is to satisfy the husband and also to obey the husband. Okay. And extra than that, she's going beyond to fulfill the duty, is not the duty, but is the favor of her. For example, like looking after the house, looking after the children, breastfeeding the children. We learned prior to Islam that the Arabs, they used to send their children, outskirts of town or in the village, and the husband would pay the ladies or the girl to look after the children. Let's take the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he was born, he was taken with Bibi Halima to Saudiya, to go and look after. So this, even prior to Islam also, they understood that it's not woman's responsibility to look after the kids, but out of her kindness, she does. So that is her kindness, and it's not her responsibility.
So in other words, if we think of that concept, it's similar to what we have in today's times, where children do go to nannies and that type of thing, allowing a woman perhaps to have a business in that regard. At the same time, also the concept of breastfeeding, Imam has touched on something that I think a lot of us don't realize, that, like you have explained to us, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there were milk mothers, and they were in fact paid to breastfeed and to raise the child, let's say, for 2 years. And yet in today's time, it is taken for granted, women must do it, and yet it is actually a favor. But also coming back to the fact of being a woman, it is our mercy, and we are in a day and age where we prefer doing it ourselves, sister.
Yes, exactly. Everything good reward. If you have to make sacrifices if you want to be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah give a woman such ni'mah to win paradise. If she is obedient to the husband, if she do her salat, if she fasts the month of Ramadan, and if she keep herself chastity, she have the right to choose which door of Jannah she will come in.
Sure.
That is another favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the woman.
And it makes sense if we think of the concept, like Imam has said, it's the man's duty to provide the shelter, to provide the food and the clothing. And obviously, he would have to go out, he would have to go earn enough money to be able to provide that. And I know that there's recently been statistic because of women wanting to take over or to be in an equal role of the man, women are dying at a younger age because of that stress level. And then you ask the question, what happens to the children? If there's no mother, if the mother dies young. Moving on a little bit further, sister, in your experience being a social activist, why do you think after, let's say, 10, 15 years of marriage, many women are left disillusioned, disempowered? Why do you think that happens in marriages?
I think, in my view, it happens because there is no communication first between the man and the woman, and no one of them know her or his rights and his obligation.
Or her desires.
Her desires, exactly. It happens only if we talk and we take time to talk to each other. And the woman must have also her own word also beside her relationship in the marriage.
Because what I have come across also in my practice is that a lot of women tend to forget that they exist. They become the title of mother or wife, and there isn't that. Where has your ambitions gone? Where have your dreams gone to? So, Imam, from your perspective?
I would say that as the couple, we also need to have some, what can I say, some understanding, and to talk and to discuss about the marriage. Where are we going for? How are we happy with this marriage? Okay, we must keep the communication open. Keep the communication open and discuss about marriage. I mean, if you, after some time, we do take our cars to service and everything, let's also, take our marriage to services and discuss these things and clear and dust what problem we have.
Because obviously, as one is married and you grow older and you become more mature, your needs change, your wants change. But of course, we always have to align it within what our Islam teaches us and give us. And also when it comes to the right of a man to be shown gratitude, why would you say is that important?
The man to show gratitude?
For a wife to show her gratitude to her husband.
Okay, because the man always, works, day and night to provide and to give provision to her. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also say, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Man la yashkurun nas, la yashkurullah. Whoever does not thank people and appreciate people, then you won't be able to appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you can appreciate people, what they do to you, then you will be able to appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also have to be sensitive for the sensitivity of others.
Exactly, and if you think of it from a human nature perspective, for a woman to show that gratitude, it makes the man feel validated, it gives him a sense of worth. Sister, from your side?
From my side, it can only bring good things to that relationship.
Sure.
Look, even between friends, if you show your gratitude to your friends, they will be happy, they will give more and more and more. What about your wife or your husband? Husband also must show gratitude to
his wife,
to his wife also.
Sure.
And all the time, be kind, good words that can touch her heart, because it's the heart, it's the matter of the heart in this relationship.
Absolutely. Brother, and also if we come to the right that he has when it comes to voluntary fasting, does he have the right to tell the wife not to fast?
Yes, she must not fast. It comes in hadith that she must not fast unless she takes the permission from the husband.
And if we come to the
voluntary fast,
we're talking, of course, the voluntary fast, not the compulsory fast. If we come to the right of giving her the permission to leave the house, I think it's a vital point, because what is important is, like we said earlier, circumstances change. People change. You perhaps become more mature and you realize, I would like to work. I would like to achieve a dream. Yet there is the right that we need to understand where the husband gives the permission for the wife to leave the house. Imam, what would you say? What are some of the solutions we can come up with in that sense?
Okay. As I said earlier, that marriage, it has to be an open discussion. So if you can have some agreement or some understanding between man and husband, and the man, man and the wife, and the man allows, the husband allows the wife to go and work or to go somewhere, then it's something which is allowed.
And I think also it comes with maturity, and also I think a lot of people need to sit back and ask, is it perhaps my own insecurities that I'm holding her back, I don't want her to grow? And then again, we need to ask, is couples coaching, is counseling or not perhaps needed, or how can we open that door of communication? Once again, it is time for us to go to a break. Don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A warm welcome back to Muslima Inside. Sister, before the break, we were talking about the right that the husband have to either tell the wife to stay at home or give her permission to go and work. What are your views on that?
I say yes, she has to ask permission to go out. And there is one verse in the Quran that said, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنْ يَغْضُضُوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Tell the believer to lower their gaze. That is the proof that woman is allowed to go out. But how she must go out? She must be respectable. She must also be conscious about her home, her husband, that institution that we are all we are looking for, to keep it in harmony and protect this institution is a home. That's we must prepare that woman to be conscious about it.
Yeah, and go out with that responsibility that you're carrying the respect of yourself and your husband and your family. Imam, if we consider these different rights and responsibilities that we are talking about, I think key for me, a few things that I've kept on hearing is this communication that has to happen. It's a mutual understanding, a mutual agreement. Would you say education, are our schools, our madrasas giving enough education to our youth going to get married, knowing what are the rights, what are my rights, what is the rights of my spouse? Or do you think we perhaps need to start including basics in our marital contract at the time that we sign the nikah agreement?
Unfortunately, I don't think that we give enough education, neither for a husband or for the wife who going to get married, that how they're going to live together. Mm-hmm. That is unfortunately, I think it's a high time to start educating them and counseling them before getting married, and teach them
the proper conduct within a marriage. Mm-hmm. And Imam, one of the very important aspects that I would like to touch on is within a marriage, obviously when people get married, you give each other gifts. Now, I'm not talking only about a gift that you give on your birthday. Can you expound for us, what does the Quran say about that?
Okay. The Quran says that whatever gift you give to your wife, even if it's qintar means huge amount of wealth, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. then it belongs to her.
Mm-hmm. So, Imam, coming to some of the legal aspects, we know in South Africa there is the secular law, but however, for us as Muslims, we always would like to go back to what does Allah says in the Quran. So, are there some verses in the Quran that you can expound for us? I think it is Surah An-Nisa, verse 20 and 21, if I may quickly read. Verse 20 says, "But if you intend to replace a wife by another, and you have given one of them a qintar of gold, for example, in brackets, a great amount of mahr, take not the least bit of it back. Would you take it wrongfully, without a right, and with a manifest sin?" So, Imam, I mean, if we as a layperson look at that, obviously it means if you're going to replace your wife, you're going to now divorce your wife, leave your wife, and take another. What I understand is if you have given to her during the time of marriage, the metaphor is what I would read it as a qintar of gold, any amount of wealth, you can't take it back. Yet in today's times, when it comes to issues of divorce, where people separate, the men are quick to say nothing is yours, it's an anti-nuptial agreement. Is our approach to gifts then correct? Because if a man says, "Come, I go buy you a house," is that or not a verbal agreement?
It's a verbal agreement, and then whatever you have given to your wife in the marriage, during the marriage time, then you should not take anything from there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even if it was verbal understanding or verbally, then you should respect your word.
Mm-hmm. In other words, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to say, "I buy you a gift," because we don't use that type of language. Right. I mean, in the simple sense, if a wife needs anything.
Yeah, but the wife must protect herself. Mm-hmm. In Quran also it says so. If the man gives something to the woman, she must write it. واكتبوه كبيرا أو صغيرا. Even if little small thing, you must write it. You must write it.
And because today we're living in the world where, I mean, the heart is qalb. You know, it can change. It changed. So I think it's better to write it down, what belongs to her, so that she knows where she stands.
Look, from my perspective, I know that is the ideal. Let alone we don't find people doing that. So I think what for me is important is, again, that concept of education, that if you're in a marital relationship and you say, the wife comes and says, "You know what, the fridge broke, we need a fridge." The husband says, "Come, I go buy a fridge for us." already there's a partnership. You are making the wife part of the ownership of that particular item. And coming to verse 21, which makes it even more firm, is, and how could you take it back while you have gone into each other, and they have taken from you a firm and strong covenant? So we can see the severity and the sincerity that, and what I understand from the English translation, it gives an example of mahar. Now we know mahar is part of the dowry. There's a whole different ruling pertaining to that. But to me, the actual metaphor means a kintar of gold. Like Imam have said, it's any form of wealth. Would you say any woman would be in a marriage where the husband said, my chair, my pots and pans? Which woman would be able to live like that?
Yes, I will give you some indication. In some Arabic and Islamic countries is Morocco. Now, if you want to divorce a woman that you was married to for 25 years and she wasn't working and she was only taking care of you and her children, now they evaluate these 55 years. If she was working, how much she will earn.
Exactly.
And she gave her from the man wealth. Or they go so far to 50-50, they share it between them. I think Muslim society must wake up and follow Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we will not be lost, because we begin with Allah and we end with Allah. If our purpose and our goal is Allah, we will not be lost, man or woman. That is what we must think about it. Not about worldly things or material things. كل شيء فان. Everything will be end. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And
exactly.
You must think about it.
Imam, from your side, when it comes to, Allah forbid that, we are obviously not promoting divorce, but the reality is it does happen. When it comes to reasonable treatment of that person, like the sister have said, there's a woman, she dedicates her entire life, whether it is by whatever agreement between her and her husband, she stays at home, she raises the kids, she does everything, let alone, on the other hand, she is not earning an income, she is not gaining any experience in the working field. He leaves her. Does Islam say, cast her aside with nothing? We know about the 3 months that he needs to take care of her, which is understandable. But I come back to the concept of gifts. If you have built that life together, if he has from time to time said, come, I go buy this or that for us or for you, surely at that time, what does the Quran say about reasonable treatment in that moment?
The Quran says that فَإِمْسَاكٌ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ بِمَعْرُوفٍ. That if it happens that, you give her first talaq or second talaq and you want to return her back, then keep her in peace, in harmony. Or if you want to separate, أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ بِمَعْرُوفٍ, then send her back in harmony, in peace, in good way. So how do you send your wife that you live together for 25 years if you don't give her nothing?
And also if you take it, many women, because sometimes the excuses come up, she should go back to her family. They must take care of her. What if she doesn't have a father or brothers, or she's like, for example, a revert? There are many reverts in today's time that they can't go back to their families. And I think also it's important what we have alluded to previously is, yes, as much as a woman can choose to stay at home, for her to go out in the workforce and to educate herself, even if it is something that she does from home, is obviously vitally important. Some closing statements from you, sister?
Yes, we have to prepare our children. It began very early, and especially girl. They must not be vulnerable in this society. If she is educated, she will know how to face problems and how to fulfill her obligation also and her rights.
Shukran, sister. Imam?
Okay. Keep the communication open between wife and husband.
Shukran jazilan. I thank you so much for being here today. And just to come back to the last bit that we were discussing, is the fact that out of human nature, and this happens in society in today's time, when a couple is married via the antenuptial contract, as soon as the man gets liquidated or sequestrated and the sheriff wants to come and take the furniture, men will very easily say, everything belongs to her, it was gifts to her, they can't take it. But yet when it comes to the concept of divorce, the man wants to claim everything as his. And I think what the sister have said so eloquently earlier is that we need to have taqwa. We need to be aware that Allah Ta'ala holds us to that verbal agreement and those verbal words that we say, where we say, I buy this for you, or I buy this for us. And on that note, it is time for us to move on. For myself, Adila, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.